Hey guys, I'm so happy to have you back here with me this week. This week we are also going to be stretching our splits again. Last week I had my laptop with me so I could kind of monitor comments and reply to you guys in real time. I forgot my laptop at work this week. And so Jackie's going to be in the background, and if you have any comments or questions or anything, Jackie can probably answer most of them. So she'll be taking care of you on that end. And I don't have a timer this week either. So we're just kind of going to go with the flow and hold stretches for a little while and see um, if we do longer, shorter, maybe. I don't really like doing it this way because then I end up stretching my bad side for less time than my good side, which is not a good thing. You should be stretching your bad side probably even more than your good side, honestly. But yeah, so this is just kind of a mix of stretches I've gotten from dance classes I've taken in color guard and some of the stuff I do with my gymnasts. So let's get down to it. We're still going to do stuff for all of our splits, and then we're going to end with our center splits because I really like the stretches I did for those last week. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to just do some bobs. Just bob and press the ground. If this is really easy and you can already plant your hands, what you can do is you can grab a couple of yoga blocks and you can stand on top of them and try to do it a little bit further. And we're just going to bob. I have straight legs. I'm just trying to get my hamstrings a little warmed up here. I always like to start with hamstrings because they are really the tightest part of my legs. And so I like to spend a little extra time on them. And now hands on the ground, and we're going to do our squats and our straightens. Every time you straighten, try to get your face just a little bit closer to your knees. You know what? If you are so far away from the ground that you're having a hard time touching your toes, you can always, instead of standing on the yoga blocks, put them under your hands so you actually have something to reach and grab for. You have a friend. Someone needs attention. You want to stretch your splits, Jelly Bean? All right, I'm feeling really good there. And so I'm just going to kind of hold a flat back here as low as I can go. You can do hands on shins, for your thighs if you need to get a flat back. I like to be closer to my toes. And I'm just going to hold this for a second. Right here, if you're really not sure how to get a nice flat back, think about arching your back a little bit. And that always helps me get a little flatter. And now I'm just going to hang it down for a minute. You can hold yourself, give yourself a big hug, sway from side to side, nod your head yes, shake your head no, and just hang out for a second. We're going to have visitors. They want to know what I'm doing. Okay, so that's done. Now I want to do some heel stretches, or some heel and some calf stretches. So what I'm going to do, because I'm very crunchy this week, is I'm going to go to a down dog, and your feet can be apart, your feet can be together. You don't have to get your back flat if your hands and feet are further apart, that's okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pedal through my feet. And try to get those calves a little warm. And what you can do here is you can hold one foot and press into it, and that gives you a nice calf stretch. Kind of like standing up against a wall, but I really like being in a down dog and doing it. And switch. If you feel like you're putting too much pressure on like the butt of your palm, like the heel of your palm, try to make sure you're spreading your fingers and you're actually pushing all the way through your fingertips. Because you don't want to put all the weight right here on this part of your hand. Really spread it out and push forward. If you have a yoga mat, I always like to think about pressing my yoga mat forward and trying to stretch it out between my hands and my feet. That really works for me. So I'm just going to do a couple more of those because I really like the way that feels. And then you can always try to press your feet flat to the ground. So no heels up. If you have heels up, that's fine. Or if you can't get your feet flat without bending your knees, that's totally fine too. Do whatever is good for your body. All right. That is feeling really good. So I'm going to sit in a straddle. And I'm going to warm up some other parts of my legs from a straddle. Why do you scream, Jelly Bean? Okay. So let's make sure you can see my legs, what I'm doing here. Little cattail here. So whenever you do this, you really want to make sure that you are sitting up on top of your seat bones. You're not rolled backwards onto your tailbone any. So what I like to do is I like to put a hand in front of me and a hand behind me and lift myself up and kind of roll forward onto like the base of my pelvis. People like to say like be on your sit bones, and it's just kind of the bottom part of your pelvis. So make sure your legs are completely straight. If you can't get them straight, bring them in a little bit. It's totally okay. And then make sure your knees are pointing to the sky. We don't have a lot of problems with this, especially if you're a little bit older, because your muscles are tighter. But I see this a lot with my littler friends in gymnastics, is they like to just roll forward. If you can see on this foot over here, roll forward and put their toes on the ground. Try to avoid that and point your toes and turn your knee up to the sky. You don't have to be turned out, but we also don't want to be turned in because that's not setting a good form. So right here, what I'm going to do to get my hips open is I'm just going to rock from one seat. Now that we got a perfect position, I'm going to ruin it. We're going to rock from one sit bone forward onto the front of our pelvis to the other sit bone and then rock back. And we're just going to rock around in a circle because we're trying to get our hips warm. I'm going to slap to the cattail down here. He doesn't like me being in his space, but he got in my space first. And go back around the other direction. What do you think, Bean? Really make sure that you're trying to get in every direction. If that means you need to go slower and really rotate through everything, you totally can. It's all good. Like I said, do what feels good for you. You're going to get tired of hearing that. But if something hurts or something doesn't feel right, then don't do it. You don't have to. And if you're like, well, Sam said it should be stretching this, but it's actually stretching this, your body's probably just tight in that area. That's usually why a stretch doesn't work the muscles you like it specifically should. It's just because another part of your body is tight. So it's all good. So now that I'm here, I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Like to go arms out, and I'm going to place this one to the inside of my opposite thigh and reach up and over. This is a little bit of an oblique stretch. If you can't touch your leg like that, that's totally okay. If you can, keep reaching down, down, down. I can grab this ankle, but I'm also trying to pull my shoulder behind my ear. But watch that this opposite sit bone doesn't come up off the ground like that. So just keep reaching, 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 and hold. And this is mostly an oblique stretch, so the sides of your abs right through here. But I still really like doing it because it warms up some other stuff too. And up, turn your body. Let's go chest to knee. And I like to think about chest to knee because if you think nose to knee, then what you're doing is this and your back is really, really rounded over. But if you think chest to knee, then you're trying to get a little bit flatter. Give me 1 second. I have a cat that's trying to destroy a plant. So what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to get a flat back here. You don't have to go all the way over. Your body may not do that. That's okay. I really suggest trying to keep a flat back and go down into a flat back because if you can see where the lowest point of my back is flat right here, really doesn't change any if I round over and put my nose to my knee. Alrighty, and up, arms out, reach, up and over to the other side. I have a cat in my way, but if this isn't like a good enough stretch and you can grab your ankle, you can always take this bottom shoulder and stick it on the inside of your leg and bring it to the ground. Just make sure you're still pressing that sit bone really into it and you're still trying to open up through your chest. And if this is really, really hard for you, this is an area where you can grab a resistance band or a strap, and you can always just like strap this around your ankle and then use that to pull yourself down too. Alrighty, and up, turn. I like to actually physically turn my shoulder so that I'm square towards this leg now, and try to get your chest to your knee. And you're not going to be completely flat over your leg just because our bodies don't twist as much as we like to think that they do, especially if you're just starting out. So it's okay to bring your chest a little to the inside of your leg rather than being directly over top of your leg. I sometimes have to do that to avoid my my other sit bones coming up off the ground. Alrighty, friends, and now for the center. If you have a lot of room, I don't have a lot of room to be able to stay on camera, but if you have a lot of room, one thing I suggest is, I'll attempt to do it right here to show you, rolling backwards in a pipe. So rolling backwards in a pipe like this, and then as you come forward, straddle your legs and pulse your chest as low to the ground as you can get it. That really, really helps get lower than you think you can because you're actively working through those muscles. If you don't have enough room to do that, and that's totally okay, something that you can do instead is just sit up nice and tall and think about brushing the ground. We're going to do that 5 times. On the 5th time, hold at your lowest point. Try to keep those knees turned up to the sky and those toes pointed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is my lowest point. So I'm just going to hang out down here. I feel a great stretch in the middle. And make sure you're actively turning those knees and ankles up. If you can see that they're starting to rotate inwards, then what I like to do is I like to reach and push them back to make sure they're not rotating inwards. If that's really hard for you, you can always grab a yoga block, put it here so you have something to lean on and push back. But we're going to hang out for not a couple of minutes, but we're going to hang out for just a little while here. And I like to kind of rock back and forth here just to keep the muscles moving because it's a struggle bus sometimes. Alrighty, friends. And if things are suffering from sitting there so long, you can do a little bit of a counter stretch. I think we did this last week, our bent knee straddle, and tap them in and out. I think that feels really good. Counter stretches are just stretches in the opposite direction of what you just stretched. And these are awesome for anybody of any age or just holding your knees together. It makes my thighs feel a lot better, and I have my kids do it too because it feels really nice. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of our lunge sequence with our splits. And we're going to try to hold our splits for a solid minute. I'm going to do my best to time it. I really can't see the tiny timer on my phone from here. But we're going to try, and then we're going to hold our center splits. I'm sorry this is kind of a quick one today, but I do have some work I need to get done. And also, it's a wonderful day and there's no snow on the ground. So who wouldn't want to go outside and do some virtual color guard? Am I right, guys? So, alrighty, let's go ahead and let's stand up. Let's go to the leg that you want to let's go to the leg that you want to stretch first. I want to stretch my left leg first because that is my bad side. And so I always like to get the bad side out of the way first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my toes so I'm in a tightrope, and I'm just going to rock back and flex my front foot. And then I'm going to rock forward. And I'm just going to let this foot come off the ground and point it. It doesn't have to come far off the ground. Bend this back knee and flex that foot and rock forward and point. And we're just going to do little weight shifts here. So my front leg is bending, or my front leg is flexing, my back leg is bending and then kicking to a point. And this back foot, I'm keeping it turned out whenever it places. So we're just going to do some little rocks here. If you want to add another level to it, if this isn't enough, what you can do is when you rock forward, take this back hip and rotate it forward. And then when you rotate back, try to turn it out all the way. And so we're working all the way through it. Alrighty, and the next time we go forward, we're going to take that leg and we're going to just kind of kick it in the air and give it a good few pulses. We did a little bit of this last week, but it never hurts to do a little extra on our hamstrings. And then I'm just going to take my back foot, the one that was just in the air, plant it backwards, and then I'm going to go to a runner's lunge instead of nice and tall. I think that there are a few different tiers to stretches. You can make them as intense or as easy as you want. Step one is definitely pull those hips back so you have like a nice 90-degree angle of this front leg here, maybe a little more. And then hands on the ground, chest low. Or if you can't even do that, that's totally fine. Grab a set of blocks or pillows or whatever you got and just hang out right here. The next step from that is taking, and instead of my hips being back here, I'm going to press them forward. Hands are still on the ground. I'm getting a great hip flexor stretch, but it's still not as intense as it could be. In order to make it a little bit more intense, what we're going to do is we're going to sit up really tall and press those hips to the ground. Even better if you can balance your hands on your front knee. So this is one of the more intense ones. And then something I like to do is, my left hip is not cooperating. I spotted a lot yesterday. So is one hand to the ground, reach around with the opposite hand for a foot bind while I'm still pressing that hip to the ground. And I'm letting my front knee fall to the side a little bit. So it's my left knee. So it's falling to the left side. So I'm getting a nice little hip flexor stretch there too. And my legs are basically making the letter N. And then from there, I'm going to put that foot bind down and I'm going to straighten my front leg. This right here is considered a half split because my front leg is completely straight and my back leg is really bent. So what I like to do from here is I like to hands on the ground, point and flex this front foot, and my whole body is rocking back and forth. My back knee is not, but my hips and my torso are. And I'm just trying to finish getting that hip socket warmed up before we slide down into our splits. And then from here, next time your foot is flexed, take and try to tap your pinky toe to the ground and then tap your big toe to the ground. Mine don't go quite all the way on this side, so that's totally fine. But my whole hip is shifting up and down because I'm really trying to rotate the head of my femur, that big long bone in your thigh. I'm really trying to rotate it around so my hips are warm. All right, and then once you're done with that, you feel good, you feel warm. I like to go ahead and point that toe, try to stretch on over it, chest to knee again. If this is really easy, you can go ahead and go all the way down. If you need to, grab those blocks, prop yourself up, and go down as far as you can. It's really up to you, whatever feels good for you. And from here, I'm going to grab my yoga blocks because I did overstretch a little bit this last week. And I'm going to slide down into my splits and attempt to hold them. And I'm going to move these back so they're directly by my hips. So I'm sitting up nice and tall. And I'm trying to get rid of all that space underneath me. My front knee is completely straight. I'm squeezing it really, really tight. and my back leg is straight behind me and my knee is turned down to the ground. So we're just going to hold this for a little bit. Rotate your blocks if you need to come up. I really suggest trying to stay right here over top of your hips, because then gravity is actually doing some of the work for you. This is a great thing about passive stretching, is you make gravity and the floor work for you. If you're leaning over like this, I'm not getting down nearly as far, but if I'm working my way back and I'm sitting up nice and tall, then my own torso actually weighs enough to go ahead and force me down to the ground. If you don't have yoga blocks, but you do have a partner, you can always put your arms up in the air and your partner can stand behind you and hold your arms up in the air and help you lower down into your splits. And go ahead and slide on out of that gently. I try not to flop out of it because I just really don't think that's good for your muscles to be in a position where they're trying to release out of that contracted position and then you just snap in one direction. My kids do it all the time, but I'm too old for that. And some of you guys probably are too, and some of you aren't, but be nice to your bodies. Treat them right, and they'll treat you right. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and switch to the other leg all the way back to the top where we were. I'm gonna go back to my tightrope with my opposite foot in front now. And we're just going to rock back, bend that back leg, rock forward and point, and I'm going to rotate in when I do that, and rotate, point, and flex, and point, and flex, and point, flex, trying to rotate that back hip in, and then out. Alrighty, and the next time you're forward, go ahead and take that foot, don't kick your couch, and pulse it up towards the sky a few times. Like I said, I think I said this last week, if you can't put your hands real close to your feet, you can always walk yourself out further to a little bit of a down dog and do some kicks from there. Alrighty, and I'm going to place that and go to my lunge. And step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, whatever feels good for you. I still have my cat here with me. It's not even my cat. He's just some weirdo that likes to suck on blankets and fur. What do you think? Sorry, this isn't the cat that knows party tricks. If the cat that knows party tricks comes around, I'll show you guys, but I'm not sure where he's at. And go ahead and drop that back foot, pull your hips back, and point and flex that front foot. Do this however fast or slow you need. Some people like to work a little bit slower through every stretch. I like to do a good warm-up before my stretches, so I like to make them a little bit more intense so that I'm still staying warm throughout the entire thing. That's one thing I really love about stretches, that like stretch routines that make you hold each position for a minute or more. They really do help you with your muscles. But I also really like things like this, flex, tap in and out, that keep you moving, keep your body warm, and maybe encourage a little bit more active flexibility in the meantime, making your muscles strong while we work. Alrighty, and point and go down over it. This is one I can go all the way down on, which is real nice. Make sure that when you're in the stretch, I didn't say this on the other side, but your back hip is either, it's not way out here, but it's directly on top of your knee, and you're not leaning back like this either. We're trying to stay 90 degrees on our back leg. And I'm going to set up nice and tall and slide out into my splits. These are really comfy for me, so I'm just gonna hang out here for a minute. Because they did some over split stretching yesterday. So, like I said, always feel free to put something here, or if that isn't the kind of overstretch you're interested in, you can also always overstretch by grabbing that back foot, just like this. This is a little bit of an over split too. So, we're just gonna sit here, pet the cat, and hold for a minute. And hold for however long your heart desires. I am going to go ahead and come out of this. That was definitely not a minute, but also more than 20 seconds. Holding a stretch for 5 seconds doesn't do a lot for you. So I'm going to go ahead and move to center splits. I'm going to do some of those frog rocks we did last week, where my hips are in line with my knees are in line with my feet, and I'm sliding out as far as I can. I'm disturbing the cat in the process. And I'm just going to rock forwards and backwards and try to open up these center thighs while still trying to get even lower. I'm letting my feet slide out to match where my hips have slid out to. Stretching is a lot, and it kind of upsets me when I see those things that are like, get your splits in one day, those like clickbait videos on YouTube, because unless you're just like a half an inch from the ground, stretching your splits for, I don't know, an hour isn't going to get you down to the ground. It takes hard work, just like you're not going to be able to bench press your own weight in a day. You're not going to be able to get your splits in a day because it requires muscle strength and lots of training. So I'm going to go ahead and take my resistance band like I had last time, and I'm going to wrap it around my feet in my straddle, and I'm going to stretch there for a little bit. Other options for you is to start standing and then attempt to sit up and slide down into it. That doesn't get me very far, and my feet tend to come forward a little bit. And I'm also really afraid of falling over because I've done that before. So I like to do this. It provides a great option if you're not so steady on your feet or you're really, really high. Now, if you're like trying to get that last little half inch or something, and you can slide down like that, hold a weight, hold something heavy. We talked about that last time. If you guys can hear that thumping sound in the background, I'm so sorry. That's one of our cats attempting to fight his litter box. So, okay, I'm here, wrapped all the way around, and I am just going to help it pull my own feet backwards a little bit. This can't do everything for you, so if you attempt, you can slide just a little bit further, and I'm going to get a block to hang out on because that feels really good. I am so glad that you guys were here with me today. I'm going to do a little bit of my outro stuff while I'm stretching this because it feels really good. Make sure that those knees are turned up to the sky, just like we were when we were sitting in our straddle earlier. And this straddle, probably can't tell from this angle, but it is just ever so slightly bigger than the one I was sitting in earlier. I'm actually very impressed with myself. I didn't think I could go this far. And I'm just going to set up really tall here. My hips don't want me to lay down, but you can always reach forward and lay down and hang out there. My hips are just very unhappy with me. Spent a lot of time in a car yesterday. So yeah, if there's any other stretches you guys would like me to incorporate, y'all just gotta let me know. Drop some comments on YouTube or Insta or wherever this is at. Yeah. What I was saying before with the YouTube videos and the hard work is just nothing is a miracle, and these videos are not going to get you there in a day. You need to stretch every single day, especially if you are in something that requires a lot of flexibility like gymnastics or dance or color guard. you really need to work for it. It's not one of those miracle things. Nobody was tossing sixes on a rifle the first day they picked it up, right? So really, really don't forget to work hard. If you've already done a workout, if you've already been outside spinning for an hour, give yourself an extra 20 minutes and just do a nice stretch and see how far you can get in your muscles. Cool down stretches are nice, but also if you're already hot, use that opportunity to get a little bit stronger and stretch a little bit more. Okay, I think we've been here for at least a minute, maybe longer, probably not. I'm going to go ahead and pull this band off and not snap myself. I know last week I said I normally let it go underneath of me, but I'm just really not feeling that today. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Oh, goodness. Thighs. Yeah, but I hope you guys like these videos. I hope you continue to work hard and go ahead and tag us on Instagram with your flexibility goals, your before and afters, or just your befores. Show me what you can do now. Let's use the hashtag, let's use Sunday Stretch Sesh. Yeah, because that's the title of the series, right? So let's use hashtag Sunday Stretch Sesh and show me what you guys have. And I'll be dropping some stuff too. I got a beautiful new tripod, and so I should be able to give you guys some more content that way, a little better angle. But yeah, thanks so much for coming and stretching along with me. I would love to see what you guys have. Yeah, I'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. I'm not going anywhere. Will you guys be here? Because I'll be here. Okay, guys, thanks so much for coming. Bye.